guys, how's it going? Laura with Garden Answer. Today I'm planting this gorgeous bloodgood Japanese maple in this container, and then I'm going to underplant it with these things. So I've got a perennial hosta here. This is called a wee hosta. And then in between the hostas, I'm going to be planting some black mondo grass, which I think is amazing texture with the hosta. And then for some color, some Sensatia lemon nemesia, and to top it all off, the white super bells. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it all planted, and then I'm going to answer the question, can I plant a tree in a container? And absolutely you can, and you should, because it's a great way to add height and drama to areas where you otherwise couldn't plant a tree or something tall. So I'm just going to get it all planted, and then we'll go over some tips. I love how this combination turned out. The red of the tree with all the colors down below. I think it's just perfect. So there are a few things that I wanted to share with you about planting a tree in a container that might help you have more success. First of all, I don't look at this as a permanent solution because I think that most trees want to be planted out in the ground somewhere eventually. But there are a few things related to the variety of tree you choose that will make the tree last longer. First of all, the mature size. Some trees mature at 50 feet tall and others will mature at 10 feet tall. So of course, the smaller the tree is at maturity, the longer it will last in a pot. The second thing about the variety is the growth rate. So the faster the tree grows, the faster it'll outgrow its container. So if you choose a plant like a willow that grow really fast and put on lots of feet of growth every year, it would fill up your container a lot faster than something like this Japanese maple. And the third thing is hardiness. So the rule of thumb is to choose a tree that's rated 2 zones lower than your current growing zone. So I live in a zone 5, so I should be choosing things that are a zone 3. That way you have a little buffer, because the roots of this tree are not as insulated as well as they would be as if it were planted in the ground. Now, I'm living on the edge here. I'm taking a risk because this is actually a zone 5 tree. It's a bloodgood Japanese maple, and I just adore it. I love the tree, I love the color, I love the shape of it, so I'm taking a risk here. Now, I have had success with this before, but we just had the worst winter we've ever had in 50 years here last year, and I lost the bloodgood maple I had in this container, so I'm kind of starting the process over again. I'm just hoping that we don't have another winter like that, but I lost tons of stuff. I lost hardy stuff, like stuff that was rated far below the zone that I'm in. It just was a bad winter. You just never know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna do everything I can to protect this shrub. I have it in a really tree. I have it in a really protected area here where it's protected from wind, from any harsh kind of, a lot of heat. It's just a really nice spot. Our dryer vent's really close, so it does actually stay a little bit warmer on this side of our house. Number 4 is your container, and this actually plays a huge role into the success of having a tree in one. So obviously the larger the container, the longer the tree will live in it. This one right here is 23 inches tall, and the diameter of the opening is 26.5 inches wide. So that's a pretty good size container. So if you have more soil around the root ball, of course, that's more insulation for winter protection. It also is more protection in the summertime when it's really hot, because it helps hold a little bit more moisture in and keeps the roots cooler. And it allows for me to plant some cool stuff underneath it. The weight of the container is also something to consider. The heavier the container, the safer your tree is from tipping over in any kind of winds. It doesn't really matter what material your pot is made of, but if you're putting it out in a spot that it's gonna get hit by wind or a lot of hot sun, the heavier and thicker the container, the better. The 5th thing is use potting soil. When you're potting up your tree, use a good, clean, high quality potting soil. Garden dirt just isn't the same in containers. It doesn't drain as well, and you're possibly adding in insect eggs, weed seeds, and diseases. So just start with a good, clean potting soil. The 6th thing is watering consistently. So trees that are in containers obviously dry out quicker than trees that are planted in the ground, so you need to keep that in mind. They also dry out quicker if you've got them out in a really sunny spot or a spot that gets more wind. So you just kind of need to watch your tree and kind of learn how often you're going to need to water it. Sometimes that might mean every day in the heat of the summer. This, like I said, is protected. It gets a little bit more shade than the rest of my containers, and it's a really big container. So I might be able to get away with every other day or every couple of days, but I keep a really close eye on it. The 7th thing is to not forget to fertilize. So that's super important, because this tree, the only thing it has to draw from is what's in this container or what you give it. So the first year of planting your tree, it's got some nutrients in the potting soil that you use, but it's also a good idea to add in some slow release fertilizer in spring or a liquid fertilizer at regular intervals. So I've got perennials and annuals in this container, which means I will be fertilizing it on a more consistent basis throughout the season, so my tree will be happy. It'll be getting lots of nutrients. Another thing I like to do is remove any loose topsoil on the top every spring and add in fresh wherever I can. So that's kind of it for tips, but as far as long-term care, if you start noticing visible roots on the top of the container or you start seeing the tree looking a little bit stressed, then that's kind of an indicator that it's time to either transplant it into a bigger container or out into the landscape. I vote for out into the landscape because you want to give your trees the best care you can, and that's really where they want to be in the end. So once they start looking stressed, out to the landscape they go. One other thing I wanted to talk about was how many plants I used in the bottom of this container. So I actually got to a point where I didn't think I was going to be able to fit these lemon nemesia in, just because those hostas are huge. I didn't realize how big they were until I got them into the container. But this spot only receives a little bit of morning sun, and so like the nemesia and superbells, which really thrive and grow really quickly in full sun, I'm hoping that that kind of stunts their growth a little bit. The black mondo grass will kind of stay pretty contained, and the hostas, I don't plan on them growing a ton more. So I think everything will be fine in here. Of course, this is a permanent fixture right here in this corner, so you will probably be seeing it in garden tours and updates later on. So that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing this all come together, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.